Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the IIFL Securities Limited Q3 FY21 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to the management team. Thank you, and over to you all.
Thank you, and good afternoon, friends. Thank you for joining the Q3 FY21 analyst call for IIFL Securities. I am R. Venkataraman, Managing Director of IIFL Securities. Along with me is Ronak Gandhi, CFO, and Anup Verghese, who handles investor relationships for us. I take this opportunity to wish all of you a very healthy, wealthy, and happy 2021. I hope all your near and dear ones continue to remain safe. With the vaccine rollout slowly starting, we hope that this pandemic situation is soon brought into control and the growth trajectory of the economy gathers pace and momentum. The year 2020 has been a year to remember from a market volatility perspective. We have seen a panic bottom in the months of March and April, and now we are seeing an all-time high of 50,000 maybe caused by panic buying. Also, the market regulator, SEBI, has announced new set of rules. Peak margin rules have been introduced in a phased manner. Also, OTP was introduced for share pledge and unpledged. These measures did cause operational difficulties in the short run, but we believe that these are very good measures to protect the interests of all investors. Our strategy continues to be built around research and technology. We have an edge in capital markets because of our understanding economy, corporate network, as well as all our business lines are centered around capital markets. We continue to invest in technology and mobile platforms and want to be a part of the fintech ecosystem. As you are aware, we have 3 revenue streams, which is retail broking, targeted and mass affluent tech-savvy customers. We also offer other products like mutual funds, insurance, PMS, AIF in an open architecture model. The other line of business is institutional broking. We are one of the leading domestic institutional brokers. And also third is investment banking, where we are focused on equity capital markets. And in this segment, we are uniquely placed because of our ability to garner subscription in each of the buckets, with be it retail, institution, or HNI. Coming to our results for December quarter, consolidated revenues for this quarter came at 215 crores, virtually unchanged both on a Q-on-Q basis and on Y-on-Y basis. There was a 1% dip on a Q-on-Q basis, and we were up 2% on a year-on-year basis, which is virtually unchanged. The major reasons for the decrease on a quarter-on-quarter basis of revenues is that brokerage income decreased 8%. That is primarily on account of the systemic changes that happened in the beginning of the quarter, especially given to share pledge and repledge on OTP basis. This decrease in revenues is offset by an increase in investment banking business, where the investment banking grew from about roughly 12.8 crores in the previous quarter to 22.7 crores in this quarter. And we have also seen some nominal increase in our product distribution business, which grew from 13.6 to 37.2. On a Y-on-Y basis, brokerage income decreased 5% from about 104 crores in the previous year quarter to about 99.3 this quarter, and that was mainly driven because of the decline in institutional broking, because the previous year, last year, this quarter, we had a large number of bulk deals and executed a number of transactions. Investment banking income is increased marginally by 22.7 this quarter, as I said earlier, from 20.1 crores in the previous year, last year quarter. Other income was down on both on a quarter-on-quarter basis and a year-on-year basis to roughly about 13.9 crores, primarily because of reduction in treasury-related income. Coming to expenses, our employee cost was up 10% on a quarter-on-quarter basis to 53.1 crores, mainly because of restoration and of salary and increment and marginal increase in the headcount. Finance cost has come down on a quarter-on-quarter basis simply because our effective borrowing has come down, and you can see the impact of that as falling interest cost both on a quarter-on-quarter basis and on a year-on-year basis. Admin cost is about 72 crores down on a quarter-on-quarter basis by roughly about 4%, which is marginal again, basically due to decrease in sub-brokerage takeout, also because of optimization in some costs, especially advertising and technology. If you look at the year-on-year increase, that has increased primarily again because of increase in sub-broker pass-out, because of the growth in the retail broking business, as well as increase in advertising and technology. That has reflected in our increased pace of customer acquisition and also. Other headline numbers, our assets under management and custody stood at about 38,746 crores. Our average daily turnover for the previous quarter was 33,000 crores, of which about 1,600 crores was in cash and 31,400 crores was in derivative segment. The corresponding figures for the previous quarter was 22,964, which was about 1,790 crores in the cash segment and 22,168 crores in the derivative segment. The other update, appointment of independent director, Mr. Krishnan, Vishwanathan Krishnan has been appointed as independent director on our board. He is a cost accountant and a seasoned financial services professional, having worked in a number of banks and stockholding corporations earlier. And he has over 3 decades of experience in various areas like risk management, operations risk, information security risk, compliance and internal control. Buyback update, the shareholders of the company in December 2020 had given their consent for buyback of shares at a price not exceeding 54 rupees for a total quantum of about rupees 90 crores. The cumulative amount utilized till now is about 60.7 crores, and the total number of shares brought back is about roughly 1.2 crores. With this, I come to the end of my remarks, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question-answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. This is a reminder to all participants present in this conference. If you wish to ask a question, please press star then 1 on your touchtone telephone. The first question is from the line of Rishikesh Oza from Robo Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yes, very good afternoon, sir. So my first question is, if I look at your 9-month revenues, the year-on-year growth is about 5%. So is there any internal target to take it to the range of 15 to 20%? And where do you see your revenues in 2 to 3 years?
Actually, if you see the components of the revenue on a 9-monthly basis, then what had happened for us is that our retail broking has grown significantly at about 20%, but that has been offset by the fall in our institutional equities business. As I said, last year we had done large number of bulk deals for long-only clients, and that had given us that was not there this year. And investment banking also grown reasonably well. So as obviously our target is to grow this in high double digits, and we are working towards that.
Okay, sir. So my next question would be, you will get a cash of around 600 crores from the real estate divestment. So what is the plan for use of this cash, and when do we expect some deals in this regard?
No, sorry, last point.
When do we expect some deals in this regard, sir, with the divestment?
No. Actually, what you say is correct. We have. I don't think you got it wrong, because we have not divested 600 crores.
Around 600 crores the divestment amount was there, right?
No, that's the investment amount. So one second. I think we can. One second. So we have real estate assets of roughly about 650 odd crores on the balance sheet, of which one in Prabhadevi which we have sold. So hopefully we should sell. And as you know, the real estate market is showing some signs of recovery, and some of the offices we are using ourselves also. And as I had articulated in the conference calls earlier, our agenda is to disinvest and reduce debt on the balance sheet, which we have done by selling one Prabhadevi property, and hopefully in the days to come we'll divest.
Okay. And when what purpose are you using this cash for when you will divest in the future coming years?
So I think that as and when the divestments take place, I would think that we'll wait for the board to guide us. But obviously, we will either pay out as dividends to the shareholders, or do buyback as we have done in the past, or invest in technology, increase our customer acquisition, and grow the business.
Okay, sir. So my next question would be, you are doing roughly a free cash flow of around 300 crore per year. So how will you deploy it?
So as I said, this year we did a 90 crore buyback, and we also have an attractive and aggressive dividend payout policy. So I would say that the free cash flow generated from the business will be primarily used for these two activities.
Okay, so that is also same like the divestment purpose.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. If I see at your dividend yield, sir, it is quite high, while the broking space is growing and your return on equity is more than 20%. So, is it that you cannot deploy much in the business? Can you just provide some color around this scenario? Like your dividend yield is quite high, while the broking space is growing, sir. So, you cannot deploy much in the business.
Actually, if you see the broking field, so we will take a prudent call to deploy the cash flow depending on situation. As of now, we think that we are under-leveraged, we can borrow also, and also continue to invest in technology to increase the pace of our customer acquisition. So as of now, I think we'll discuss at the board level and decide what is to be done. But as you pointed out, the space is growing, and we are under-leveraged. So I don't think capital is a constraint for us.
Okay, sir. So my last question would be, what is your brokerage yield and your market share?
See, if you look at our market share, we are roughly about 1.1% on a total market basis, not separated prop and everything. We have taken the denominator of the total exchange volume. In F&O, we are roughly about 1.1%, in cash about 2.6%.
Okay, sir. Okay. And your brokerage yield, sir?
I don't have the figure right now, but I'll answer that question separately.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, if you wish to ask a question, please press star then 1. The next question is from the line of Ashish Kumar from Infinity Alternatives. Please go ahead.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Sir, a couple of questions. One on FPD side. On the FPD side, we've seen revenues even in this quarter kind of almost being flat. If I calculate it,
37%. 37 crores, yes.
37 crores.
Approximately.
Why is that kind of struggling to kind of cross that 35-40 crore mark to a much higher number? And when do you think we can kind of significantly break away from that number?
Okay. So if you look at our FPD or financial products distribution income, this is primarily coming from sale of insurance, and both life and general insurance. So typically, if you look at the historical construct, the fourth quarter would have been a peak quarter for us, typically because both life and general try to peak out. Last year, we could not get the seasonal peaks in the last year, this quarter, simply because of the COVID impact. But if you see this year, the last quarter, if you break the FPD income on granular basis, on a quarter-on-quarter basis, life grew. But there was a degrowth in our general insurance business because the growth which we saw in the previous quarter, driven by health, did not happen. So, but as we discussed, hopefully we should get back momentum in retail sales of both life and general in the days to come.
Yeah. So I was looking at a YOY basis. Last year also same quarter we had like 36-37 crore in FPD. So do you think that it can potentially go to a much higher levels of on the?
Yes, it can rise. It can definitely rise, and the key driver for this growth will be insurance products. So hopefully we should get we are investing in this channel, and hopefully we should see a improved traction on this.
Okay. So your focus will be on that, not on the mutual fund side, or not?
See, mutual fund is also there, but mutual, for a lack of a better word, commissions in insurance is better more than mutual fund.
All right. And secondly, sir, from more data question, how much did you get from sale of Prabhadevi asset? Did we book any other income this quarter?
No, we sold it at the same as WDV. The return on value is about 70 crores, and we sold at approximately that price only.
Okay. So we didn't book any.
There's no other income or no extraordinary numbers.
And thirdly, coming back to the retail brokerage business, we've seen this whole discount brokers and everybody else come, and because of which our yields have been under pressure. Also, the business mix in favor of the options versus cash. So what will be really helpful is to understand how the cash yields have behaved over the last 6-7 quarters, as well as the F&O yields. And do we see them bottoming out, or do we see them further kind of keep on coming down?
See, if you look at our effectively, I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but I'll just broadly tell you the yields. So if you look at the retail cash yields, they had a precipitous fall last year. But if you look at in the last 3-4 quarters, they are falling, but the pace of fall is not so dramatic, because it was roughly about 5. I think if I can give rough estimate, it was roughly in the 5 bits range. But on the insti side, if you remember 3-4 years ago, this SEBI had put a guideline where they capped that commissions. So the domestic mutual fund cap was there, and because of that, even the foreigners started reducing their commissions. And what has also happened is that the large number of flows happen because of passive and ETFs, where the commissions are quite low, even on the cash segment. So even there, we are seeing a downward sloping graph, so which is there. But the point I'm trying to make is that the graph is tapering off or sloping, mathematically speaking. My guess is that it's not a bottom, then definitely the trend is bottoming out.
So what will be your current yields be, cash yields?
See, roughly cash yields, I have a rough number in front of me, which will be about 5-6 paisa.
It's about 5-6 paisa. And so of our total brokerage income, how much would be coming from cash and how much from F&O?
So, if you look at the rough numbers, roughly about 50-50 it is there.
It's roughly 50-50.
Roughly.
Okay. So you don't see that concern that it may go down to 2.5 or 3 paisa or something like that?
See, actually, I don't want to be standing in front of you and making some famous last word statements. You know what has happened to the industry is that I'll give you a personal experience in the sense that maybe sometime ago when the F&O was 90% F&O and 10, I thought it bottomed out. But now if you look at it, we are about 98.2 or 97.3. So the way the industry is, that it's a downward sloping graph. So where to stop, your guess is as good as mine. But the good news is that the yields are keeping falling on. That is compensated by overall increase in trading volume, because there we have seen a massive explosion.
Right. And coming back secondary to that thing, then if in an environment where we are seeing this pressure on yields, and obviously which is why despite good acquisition of good customer acquisition, our ability to grow our top line probably is limited, because whatever customer acquisition is happening is going away from that. And brokerage being a business which is which doesn't require a lot of capital, because now incrementally more and more margin requirements are being passed on to the clients. Do you see a need for a large recapitalization? Now, I know you have a fairly generous distribution policy, but let's say a 300-400 crores kind of a capitalization, which will allow the ROEs to remain, let's say 25% plus, even if your profits kind of.
Let me answer that question to you in a different way. See, the big picture is that the macro indicators for the industry or retail brokerage or brokerage for that matter is good. and there are 2-3 reasons for it. The first and foremost reason is that the economy is growing and financialization of the economy is taking place in a big fast pace. Second thing is number of customers. My guess is that will increase sharply because in the country about 130 crores, we don't even have 4, 5, 6 crores of demat accounts. So given these two demographical factors, the growth will be there. So if the industry is growing, then at the same time, as a broker, we need to have a robust financial situation simply because to acquire those customers, you need to invest in technology. And I think in the last 2-3 years, technology investments have become a very critical differentiator. So yes, the need to retain so much of cash in the balance sheet is not there. And that we have said that even the real estate assets in the balance sheet we are trying to divert. Once we sit on the cash, we'll see the best deployment of cash. And I would say my guess is that the cash will go in spending in technology and whatever surplus, and we have underleveraged balance sheet so we can borrow also. And whatever surplus is that, as you pointed out, that we have a generous dividend payout policy and we'll give it back to shareholders.
Okay. No, the only limited point I was making, sir, was that you already have 1,000 crore net worth, right? And your investments in technology are not going to be that large. So obviously, I'm sure as you do that thing, while you did this buyback, to do a kind of a largish 400-500 crores kind of a recap, which allows that even on the current profitability levels, your business starts to generate serious amounts of cash. The fourth question, sir, and the last question for me is that even your group company 5paisa is making investments in technology, and they also have a very good platform. So any thoughts of combining the two businesses so that you can leverage on the technology platforms, even though you have separate
that's a very question which maybe it's not proper for me to answer because there are two separate companies, separate boards. So when just to give a historical perspective, when we started 5paisa, there was a rationale for discount broking because discount over discount broking was done by a separate entity and not as an SBU within Indian Fund Security. So it's a bigger, more strategic question that has to be addressed at the board level, and that will take some more thinking. So it's not proper for me to give an off-the-cuff simplistic answer.
So as somebody, sir, from an investor perspective, and this is some input which I would like to give to you, is that having a lesser number of companies where everything is aligned, even though you may have two separate brands within the same entity, reduces the complication from our perspective as to, well, it's anybody's guess, honestly, 2 years down the line, whether what percentage share will be with the discount broker and what percentage share will be with the full service broker, and there's a need for both of them in the marketplace, right? As somebody who's invested in both the sides, I would request if you can think about combining both of them, because a large number of shareholders are still common. Fairfax is common, the promoters are common. So that's a request. It will help provide clarity from a market perspective, is what
I think that's a fair. I take your feedback in the right spirit, and I'll.
So this is just a suggestion, sir, and all the.
I think that has to be discussed at an appropriate level, and that's a fair.
Sure. Thank you, sir, and wish you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharat Jain from Manthan Research. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to pick up from the last question where we left in terms of 5paisa offering. Earlier in the con call, you've said that there's a difference in offerings. IIFL offering a full service broker and 5paisa being a discount broker. But in terms of the new.
Jain, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but there's a lot of background disturbance from your line, sir. We are unable to hear your question.
Sorry. So I was just talking, in terms of full service offering and discount broking offering. You've said previously right now if I see on 5paisa and IIFL Securities are offering the same kind of plans to the clients. Do you want to kind of comment? Can you distinguish? Is there any difference in offering, or it's the same?
See, I'll tell you the rationale for everything. So, as I said earlier, also 5paisa was a discount broking company, and we started this initiative almost 3-4 years ago. At that time, we did not we wanted to start it as separate entity with separate focus so that it does not get, I would say, affected or clouded by the activity of the company. So if you look at the offering, 5paisa had no RM right from beginning, no branches, no advisors, no everything is completely different. Even the target segment was mostly new millennials and digital savvy, do-it-yourself kind of customers who wanted to pay the least brokerage. Now, if you look at it, why we offered our competitive pricing price is that because although our core or the bulk of the income comes from customers who use RMs and research and things like that, there were many customers who are on the DIY mode and we want to retain them. So for those customers, we offered a competitive brokerage price. If you look at it at industry level, all full service brokers also offering a competitive price so that the customer does not go away. So that was the intent. So again, as I said in the earlier question, that I can't answer this question off the cuff saying that let's merge or not merge, because that has to be thought through as they are two separate entities and with separate boards. So it will definitely take some more time and thought.
Right. I take your point. There was a need for a different offering earlier, and the infrastructure requirement were also different. But given that now all the full service brokers are also entering into the same kind of model of trying to retain both kind of customers, I think. But I take your point here. I mean, I just want to make what the other participant has said the same thing.
Yes, thank you so much. But what I'm saying is that circumstances have changed in the last 2-3 years. So at an appropriate time, definitely we'll think, because I understand where you're coming from.
Right. The next question is on the dividend. I think the last time dividend was declared in the Q3 results, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, we had declared in last week at dividend time, but this time since the buyback was going on, we thought that we'll prudent to wait and what happened to the buyback and then take a call.
Is there a write-down in fair market value of the real estate property? Because earlier we've discussed about 750 crore odd, and now after the sale of Prabhadevi properties, you're talking about 660 odd crores. So is there a write-down of 20 odd crores in the?
No, there's no write-down. Those are approximate figures we have been talking about. So there's no write-down. So the figure I gave you now is the approximate figure after adjusting for the Prabhadevi sale. There's no write-down to the best of it. No, I think the CFO is there and there's no write-down.
Right. I just want to know the debt and cash position.
Debt is about 90 crores and the cash is about.
Okay. Are we intending?
Hello, I'm on a consolidated basis. I'm giving approximate numbers. Huh?
Right. So are we looking to pay off the debt in last quarter?
Yes. हो जाएगा. See, that debt is not long-term debt. It is like short-term working capital debt, so we can manage it. Don't worry.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, if you wish to ask a question, please press star then 1 on your touchtone telephone. The next question is from the line of Manan Patel, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. So my first question is regarding the client acquisition part. So the client acquisition has been robust, but if I look at the P&L, the admin cost and other expenses have shot up substantially more than the revenue that might have come from the new client. So is the new client acquisition taking much more capital in? So can you throw some light on that?
So see, if you look at which is the number you're saying that has gone up sharply?
Admin and other expense.
So you're talking, see, admin and, sorry. So if you look at the admin expenses on a year-on-year basis, it is down about it's up about 30%.
Yes.
And on a quarter-on-quarter basis, it's virtually flat. The increase in the admin cost from 55 to 71 crores is primarily because of increase in marketing and technology spend, and also because of increase in sub-broker expenses. Correct? That is also part of that expenses because we put it in the admin and other expenses. There are two reasons for it. The reason is not exactly that is 100% driven by marketing expenses.
Okay, I understand that, sir. But so do you think this expense will stay as a percentage of revenue will stay here from now on, or it might come down after some point in time?
My guess is that it will remain at these levels for at least in the foreseeable future.
Understood. And sir, can you provide the number for active clients?
2.6 lakh approximately.
Okay. And sir, so again back to the capital allocation policy. So you mentioned that the dividends you will consider dividend payouts will still remain the same over and above the buyback, right? Just to confirm that.
No, I've not made any statement like that. So we have to. I only said that we'll wait and watch for the buyback to go out, and then the board will decide on the prudent dividend payout policy.
Understood. And sir, can you give me the net cash number? I did not hear that properly.
Debt was about 90 crores and cash is about 40 crores.
Okay, understood. And sir, my last question is, given that you mentioned the stream of revenues or the yields from brokerage are going down substantially, and that forms a significant part of our revenues as of now. So even though the volumes are increasing, we are not seeing a commensurate increase in the revenue. So over next 2-3 years, if this continues, even though the slope is downward slope is tapering off, how do we see the revenues panning out? Or are we doing something substantially different, like ICICI Securities has introduced international brokerage or something else, which will help improve the yields for customers? So can you throw some light on the steps that we are taking in that direction?
But if you look at it now, we are going ahead. Key elements of the strategy is to focus on increasing the number of customers and increase our market share. And for that, we'll be spending a lot of money in technology. We think that we have a fairly widespread branch network across the country, and we'll fortify our research content. So we are also talking about international offerings, but I'm not very sure how much that will drive yield increases, because so our entire bulk of the focus will continue to remain domestic.
Understood, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, if you wish to ask a question, please press star then one. The next question is from the line of Kajal from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hi. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes,
Hi.
sir, I just wanted to know two things. One is what will be your MTF book currently? And second, hello, yeah?
About 50 crores.
50 crores. Okay.
So
we are not raising this book further as a stream of revenue because this is...
Actually, in the last 2-3 quarters, we have been circumspect, and we've been going cautious on this book.
Gotcha. And then second thing, you have been talking about sub-brokers. So we are adding significant sub-brokers, and what will be the share of sub-broker currently in volume?
Yeah, actually, we are sub-brokers will be roughly about 30-35% of the retail brokerage.
30-35% of retail brokerage.
40% of retail brokerage, you can say, must be coming from sub-brokers.
Achha, okay. And what will be the strength? How many sub-brokers?
I don't have the exact number of active sub-brokers, so I'll...
Achha. Sir, and the client addition that we are seeing of around 1 lakh in the quarter, so what will be a broad breakup? Who is coming and there's a new discounted plan and old plan, so a broad breakup?
I think bulk of them are coming in a shopper plan only. So, because we have not been going out and aggressively marketing the discount plan, but hopefully in the days to come, we'll take a re-look at the strategy and focus on what to get and what not to do.
And so most of the currently newcomers, new client addition is in the regular plan.
Yes. But actually, I don't have the exact data. That's my sense. But hopefully, since you've asked this question, I'll analyze it and I'll get back to you.
Okay, sir. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharat Jain from Manthan Research. Please go ahead.
Sorry, I had one more question. You said the target of double-digit high growth. would that be a optimistic target? I mean, because broking and IB business would be function of financial markets, which could be volatile. But do you think insurance can drive that growth?
No, actually, to be very honest, every target is predicated on general macroeconomic situation, state of the market. So you have been in a market observer for so long, so we have to take that factor in mind. So, but having said that, I don't think insurance can single-handedly drive the double-digit growth.
Right. Thank you.
Broking and investment banking.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, if you wish to ask a question, please press star then 1 on your touchtone telephone. The next question is from the line of Aman from Abacus. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. I just wanted to check, we have an other income this quarter of almost 13 crores. Last year it was roughly 66 crores. If you can give us a broad breakup as to what is this other income about?
No, the other income was roughly about 13 crores for this quarter. Previous quarter was 20 crores and earlier was 16 crores. Mainly interest income on surplus investments.
So this is the float, the client margin money which we have invested into FDs or something?
Treasury का पैसा है वो.
Investment.
Okay. And what is the corpus of this treasury?
Corpus? So the changing number I don't have. See, other financial investments at the end of December is roughly about 250 crores. But this is a changing number, so I have the figure in front of me, which is of December.
Fine. And as I understand, this is client's money, right? This is not our surplus cash. Yes. Our surplus cash is the 30-40 crores of net cash balance that we have.
Net cash अलग है.
Net cash is different. Additionally, we have this 250 crores of investment. So generally, we do downselling of this investment. So once we realize the money, that is sitting in cash and money. So generally, we do downsell the investment.
Oh, okay. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rishikesh Oza from Robo Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello. So what would be the average daily market turnover for retail broking excluding the FNO?
मतलब?
So the data that you have provided.
The total turnover was about 1,600 crores, which includes retail and institutional.
Only for retail broking can you provide, sir?
I don't have the number right now in front of me.
Okay. And what is your investment banking income for the quarter?
22 crores. 22 crores.
Okay. And your acquisition cost is how much, sir?
I think we're about 1,500-1,600 rupees per account.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference back to the management for their closing comments.
Thank you so much for these discussions and questions. If you have any more questions on anything, please feel free to reach out to Anuj Sarbhi, who is our Group Investor Relations Manager, and we'll be more than glad to get back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. On behalf of IIFL Securities Limited, we conclude today's conference. Thank you all for joining. You may now disconnect your lines.